let me tell you something. If I show up to a work meeting and I've gone through the trouble of blowing up giant naked pictures of a coworker's drug-addicted son for everybody to see, to broadcast out, you better believe I have a good reason to do that. Otherwise, it just seems like I'm trying to shame someone that is clearly sick.
Trump is the new Adolf.
Before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you to the people who have signed up for memberships. Thank you for supporting this channel. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like. Let's get into it. If you missed it, there was some pretty big Hunter Biden news this week. Now, if you're a chud who wandered in here, now's a good time to leave because it's not that kind of news. And James Coomer here, really earning that name Coomer. Go ahead and look that up. What the kids call it Coomer. Exactly what he is. Must have a humiliation fetish. Special counsel David Weiss, an appointee of Donald Trump. Remember that. Because Garland has this crazy thing where he has to hire every special investigator from the other side to be a Republican. Just try to imagine for 5 seconds that Trump and Bill Barr brought in an Obama appointee to investigate all of Trump's crimes during those 4 years. We might have got to this New York case a lot faster, right? A Trump special investigator announced charges against 43-year-old Alexander Smirnov on Thursday for allegedly making false statements and manufacturing false records concerning Biden's business deals in Ukraine. Yes, that is what we're talking about, Burisma. Smirnov's account is the bedrock. I say bedrock like there's any other evidence. Smirnov's account is the only evidence Republicans went on to open up this crazy impeachment of Joe Biden because of Hunter Biden, Burisma. This is the sole piece of evidence they used. Trump appointed special investigator. And this isn't the first time Marjorie Taylor Greene has been let down by Smirnov. Usually when the Smirnov wears off is when her boyfriends, when her one-night stands pack up and get the hell out of there. I can't accentuate this enough. Smirnov is the sole reason we're wasting time in the Senate with this sham trial where Hunter Biden shows up and Nancy Mace opines about white privilege. A lady who grew up on the most expensive island in South Carolina. It's why anytime you hear a Republican cry about the border, you look at what the people they elected are doing in Congress. Coomer and every other Republican on that panel all knew this was BS. They all knew it was for propaganda reasons. I mean, it is in fact the reason Trump was impeached the first time. He was trying to get Zelensky to fabricate documents about this very thing. Or did we all forget that? He said either you fabricate documents, give them to me, or you don't get the missiles that blow up tanks. So having that in mind, that Coomer knew this was all BS, Let's go back and watch how he talked about this guy.
Claims. What is the whistleblower saying specifically?
Well, as you know, Maria, Senator Grassley and I have reviewed a legally protected and highly credible whistleblower document, which alleges that there was an exchange of money for policy decisions made by then Vice President
from the start.
Joe Biden. We have determined that whistleblower is extremely credible. And based on the bank records that I've been getting and you and I have been talking about on your show for weeks now, and based on the fact that 9 different Biden family members have been receiving payments from a web of LLCs that are receiving payments from our adversaries around the world.
Way they got this info, he's going to jail.
Questionable behavior that the Biden family members have been doing to receive funds. So we take this whistleblower claim very seriously. We know it exists.
But
we know the FBI has the document. As Senator Grassley said, it is not
look at all those question marks. Who could they be? Who received money from the deals?
What the FBI did,
I guess nobody,
to verify the claim of the whistleblower.
Sure. So there you have it. They made a huge deal about this confidential human source, right? It's called an FD 1023. And that's a document the FBI uses to record information such as sources. If you guys remember, they were running around, release the FD 1023 on Hunter Biden. Why are they hiding it? Grassley, grass ass, 150-year-old Grassley. filling up his depends over this FD 1023. And Fox News ran with this. I mean, just look at Pudgy right here. For weeks, for months, they're hiding the 1023. This is all the evidence we need to lock up the entire Biden family. And Lindsey Graham will expect you to believe anything. If you believe this is a straight man, a straight senator from South Carolina, if you can buy that.
Okay, so here's the big news for me. Thanks to Senator Grassley's investigation.
The propagandist.
The whistleblower told us that there was a 1023, which is an FBI form recording tips and investigative leads.
Don't look into that.
That suggest
start impeachment right now.
Biden
Don't
had
do any kind of
conversations
investigation,
with
Linz.
Burisma
Linz
top
woke up and
officials,
got out of the closet for this.
a gas company in Ukraine. If that was
That's how
true,
important this
everything
propaganda
Hunter Biden
was
and
to
Joe
them.
Biden said is a lie. The FBI was told by a confidential informant that they had on the payroll.
The same FBI
that this
that's arresting the guy. It's the exact same FBI. Biden hasn't changed the FBI director. He hasn't changed anything. It's the same exact FBI that's arresting this man now for lying about all of it. And of course, Father of the Year, podcast host. Dude's not a senator anymore. Everything's about his podcast. He should just retire. She just quit, be a full-time Joe Rogan. It's all he talked about for months. This is a sitting United States senator. He has access to classified documents. He could have went to the FBI. He could have looked into it. But if they looked into it, they would have to stop this narrative. And when you're a Republican, the narrative, as we've seen with the border, as we've seen with everything else, the narrative is more important than the actual facts. Think about it. If you are a rational thinking human being and Fox News was your source where you got your news, your information, your personalities. Now that news source had to pay nearly $1 billion because they were specifically lying to you. They were making a fool out of you. And then the next week after that $1 billion, you tune back in. You can't fix MAGA for the exact same reason you can't fix stupid. Did Fox News learn their lesson? I don't know. Let's turn into the intern.
So why is the Biden administration arresting this FBI informant now?
Probably
the FBI has had this
proof, my guy.
4 years ago.
That's how investigations happen.
And then Republicans discovered that it was covered up, so Biden's locking up the source to discredit it?
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
This is the second informant Biden's arrested for
Trump
blowing
appointee.
the whistle about his bribes.
Trump FBI.
An Israeli-American citizen told the FBI about the Chinese money going to the Bidens
gonna breed that guy
in
into
2019, even before they had the laptop. He's been arrested.
Okay, two things on this video. Like I said at the first, Garland has an obsession with trying to find some kind of bipartisanship with quite literal fascists on the other side. And that led him, which Jesse Waters conveniently leaves out, to a Trump appointee to investigate this. All right? Second, and this might be a little more obvious, Jesse Waters here, who left his wife and kids so he could go f***-year-old intern, seems to have a lack of character. Seems to not take too much pride in this job. So who does he bring up as the second source? Gal Luft. And if you don't know, this isn't a nice gal, all right? Gal is an international arms dealer. But not to like our allies. He sells arms to China, Iran. You ever heard of Chud talk about Iran for longer than 10 minutes? And all the other Middle East countries. This is the person this intern wants you to sympathize with. A scum of the earth individual whose weapons have killed United States soldiers. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Republicans used to slap these tacky magnets on their SUVs that said, "We support the troops," to try to seem like they were better than everybody else. I'm old enough to remember that. Smash cut to, 15, 20 years later? Fox News is now sympathizing, wants you to take the word of the man who armed the individuals that shoot at our troops. Gal Luft, a man whose story is so airtight, who has so much evidence against Hunter Biden. As soon as they let him out on bail, he fled the country. We have no idea where he is. If I had to guess, I would say maybe Iran, maybe the Middle East. Maybe we should check there. And just because I think this guy's a glutton for punishment,
we've been very transparent with the American
just
people.
listen
We've
to
been very
him lie
transparent with the media.
to all of
we
you.
published 4
To us, really.
substantive bank memorandums that show concerning transactions from our enemies around the world.
Look at his hands.
We've
He looks nervous, doesn't he?
several hundreds of
Look at those
suspicious
hands.
activity reports
Yeah, he knows.
that the banks filed, very concerned about suspicious activity.
So there you
by
have
the
it.
Biden family. We
Coomer.
have heard testimony from IRS whistleblowers.
Marjorie Taylor Greene used this as an excuse to show revenge porn of the President of the United States' son to the entire world. I'm not under any illusions. Hunter Biden has had access to the best rehab facilities in this country. He's a Nepo baby. He's got care of me and you. If we had these problems, we could never even dream of getting. Hunter Biden smoked a ton of crack. I mean, there's hundreds of pictures showing as much. Hunter Biden bought prostitutes. Now, if you think that constitutes this lady marching up in a job that should be very coveted to have, if you think that constitutes Marjorie Taylor Greene showing naked pictures of him to the world because you're on her team, and you think that hurts the Democrats, you think that owns the libs, if that's the way you think, you 100% belong in the Republican Party because that's all you are now. Just like Smirnov's report, the facts don't matter to you. All that matters is the narrative. I mean, as for me, I think Hunter Biden should sue Fox News. $900 million again. They've been lying about him. I've been saying months, but it's probably closer to years now. Hunter Biden should sue Ted Cruz for his stupid podcast where he's been lying about him. Because if there's one thing we're learning, the Republican base won't stop their leaders from lying to them. They need it. In fact, Fox News has factored that in, as we saw with Jesse Waters, right? They're not being genuine with you. They're not coming on saying, hey, man, we've been saying all this stuff, but now there's a report. He's getting arrested for lying. So, we've been wrong. They are so scared of losing that demographic. They're so scared that they will risk another lawsuit to try to hold on to the lowest info, the worst people in this country, the 1 out of 5s that will believe anything you tell them at any given moment in their lives. And that fear of them tuning out if you don't feed them the Kool-Aid every single night is rotting this country to its core. Because as I've said, the one thing I've learned about MAGA over the past 7 years is the same exact thing I've learned about stupid. You can't fix MAGA and you can't fix stupid. If it's your first time here, we got a great community. Make sure you join, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. If you've been here a while, you enjoy this content, you want to support this content, go ahead and become a member. You get a special thing by your name, a little Chad the Chud logo. During lives, your chat is highlighted for us so we can see it over everybody else's. You get exclusives to content. I know not all of you were Chad the Chud fans. Some of you weren't around for it. But I'm unlocking some of those old Chad videos for members. So if that interests you, go ahead and sign up. And thank you for being here. The Chud Report.
So do you believe that Comer had any reason to believe that this was all false and ignored it?
Oh, that's a great question, Abby. In fact, I'll ask it a different way. When did James Comer know this was false, and how long did he conceal that from the American people? I mean, are you telling me he just found out through the indictment, or has he known all along, or at least for a period of time, that this 1023 form was made up? Those are real questions we need to get to the bottom to. In addition to, Speaker Johnson ending this sham impeachment, he should be looking into that and whether maybe James Comer should even stay as chair of the Oversight Committee.
Do you have